Imagine a man who arrived in any European city and, within weeks, renowned intellectuals, famous artists, and aristocrats would abandon their comfortable lives to follow him. A man who spoke 17 languages, mastered 47 different professions, and claimed to have discovered the secret to humanity's conscious evolution. This man existed, and his name was George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. For 7 decades, Gurdjieff traveled the world as a living enigma. Born on the border between Europe and Asia, he would become the most controversial and influential spiritual master of the 20th century. But who was this man really? Where did his impossible knowledge come from? And why, to this day, do his teachings continue to transform lives around the world? Today, you're going to discover the truth behind the greatest spiritual mystery of the modern age. A journey that began in the mountains of the Caucasus and spread through the salons of Paris, the stages of New York, and the brightest minds of his time. What you are about to discover about George Gurdjieff will change your perception of reality forever. Because this man not only lived an extraordinary life, he discovered how to awaken what is deepest in the human being. Gurdjieff was born in 1866, in Alexandropol, a city on the border between the Russian and Ottoman empires. From childhood, he witnessed phenomena that defied logic. Healers who worked with their hands, dervishes who entered altered states of consciousness, and masters who seemed to control invisible forces of nature. At 20, Gurdjieff formed a secret society called Seekers of Truth. This group of young adventurers had a single obsession: to find the source of esoteric knowledge that had been lost to time. They weren't spiritual tourists, they were archaeologists of consciousness. For more than 20 years, Gurdjieff and his companions traveled the most remote and dangerous places on Earth. Tibet, Afghanistan, Central Asia, the Gobi deserts, lost monasteries in the Hindu Kush mountains. They risked their lives in search of something that Western science didn't even admit existed. In his writings, Gurdjieff mentions encounters with the Sarmaung Brotherhood, an esoteric school that preserved ancient Babylonian knowledge. He describes monasteries where monks practiced exercises that developed superhuman abilities, rituals where dervishes achieved states of consciousness that transcended time and space. But what Gurdjieff discovered during these secret journeys will shock you. If this journey is resonating with you, leave a like so more people can discover these mysteries. In 1912, Gurdjieff emerged from his journeys completely transformed. He was no longer a seeker, he was a master. He arrived in Moscow and St. Petersburg with something no one in the West had seen before: a complete system of human development that he would call the Fourth Way. Soon, intellectuals like P.D. Ouspensky, a renowned mathematician and philosopher, and Thomas de Hartmann, a composer for the imperial court, abandoned their careers to study with this mysterious man. What did they see in Gurdjieff that made them sacrifice everything? Witnesses report that Gurdjieff could stop a person with a glance, causing them to become completely immobilized. He demonstrated breathing exercises that dramatically altered the state of consciousness of those present. And there was something about his presence, a magnetic quality that made people feel they were in the presence of a completely awakened human being. Ouspensky wrote, "At that moment I understood that I was in the presence of a man who had found something we all seek, but few find. He didn't talk about awakening, he was awakened." Have you ever felt lost in your spiritual quest, searching for answers that seemed impossible to find? What happened next challenged everything the Western world believed about human potential. In 1922, Gurdjieff acquired the chateau of Prieuré Loges, near Paris, and created what would become the most radical spiritual laboratory in history. It wasn't a common school, it was a place where human beings would be literally rebuilt from scratch. At the Prieuré, Gurdjieff developed techniques no one had seen before. The sacred movements, dances and exercises that activated dormant centers of consciousness. The stop exercise, where, at any moment, students had to stop completely and observe their inner state. And intense physical work, which broke the automatic patterns of personality. Catherine Mansfield, the famous writer, arrived at the Prieuré with tuberculosis and spiritually shattered. In the last weeks of her life, she wrote that Gurdjieff had shown her a dimension of existence she didn't even know existed. "He taught me to die consciously," were her words. In 1924, Gurdjieff suffered a near-fatal car accident. During his recovery, something extraordinary happened. He began to write Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, a work of almost 1,200 pages that contains, disguised in allegories, his entire system of esoteric knowledge. What Gurdjieff revealed in this book forever changed the understanding of the human condition. The revelation you are about to hear explains why Gurdjieff was considered the most dangerous man to human illusions. Gurdjieff revealed that the average human being lives in a state of waking sleep, functioning automatically, identified with thoughts and emotions, without true choice or consciousness. He mapped three main centers: intellectual, emotional, and physical, which in most people function in an uncoordinated way and waste vital energy. Unlike the traditions of the fakir, body, the monk, emotion, or the yogi, mind, the fourth way works simultaneously with all three centers, allowing for complete development without abandoning ordinary life. It is the path of the cunning man, who transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Gurdjieff taught that every process in the universe is subject to precise cosmic laws. The law of three, active, passive, and neutralizing forces, and the law of seven, the cosmic octave, explain how energy transforms and how conscious shocks can accelerate inner evolution. Comment which of these revelations impacted you the most so far: the concept of waking sleep or the cosmic laws. But Gurdjieff's deepest discovery about human nature was yet to come. When Gurdjieff died in 1949, he had planted seeds that continue to germinate to this day. His direct students, such as Jean de Salzmann, Lord Pentland, and Henriette Lons, established Gurdjieff foundations around the world, preserving the integrity of his teachings. Gurdjieff's impact transcended the spiritual circle. Frank Lloyd Wright applied his principles to architecture. Keith Jarrett incorporated his concepts into music. Even modern entrepreneurs use his techniques to develop presence and authentic leadership. Gurdjieff's deepest revelation was that the human being possesses not one, but multiple possibilities of being. Through conscious work on oneself, a person can develop a higher body, a form of consciousness that survives physical death. This was not a mystical belief, but a precise spiritual technology. One of his last students reported, "Gurdjieff showed me that I had three men within me: the man I am, the man I believe I am, and the man I can become. The work consists in unifying these three into one." How would you apply this understanding of multiple possibilities of being to your own life? So, who was George Gurdjieff? He was a man who discovered how to consciously awaken from humanity's collective dream. A cartographer of the human soul who mapped inner territories that modern psychology has only begun to explore. A modern alchemist who transformed human lead into spiritual gold. In a world dominated by technology and constant distraction, Gurdjieff's teachings are more relevant than ever. His emphasis on conscious presence, work on oneself, and the development of real will offers an antidote to the modern fragmentation of consciousness. Gurdjieff did not create followers, he created awakeners. People capable of awakening themselves and others from spiritual sleep. The mystery of Gurdjieff is not in who he was, but in who you can become by applying his teachings to your own life. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications for more transformative journeys through the mysteries of humanity's great spiritual masters. George Gurdjieff once said, "You can be what you wish to be, if you understand that you are already all that you need to be." The most mysterious man of the 20th century left us the greatest mystery of all, the mystery of ourselves.